sort of remember seeing the Germans jumping out, all one or two on fire, but they were still shelling us there where we were dug up in the field, and it was there where one shell came down very close to us, and it didn't go off.
Welcome back once again to For Honour's Sake, the podcast from the Association of Jewish Ex-Servicemen and Women. I'm Dan Fox, Chair Emeritus of AJEX. To the best of our knowledge, there are still 15 Jewish men and women with us yet who served in the British Armed Forces during World War II. And we are delighted to be with one of them at his home in North London today, Solomon Ohayon. Solly, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, lovely to have you, yeah.
Let us begin where we always do, at the beginning. Where and when were you born, and what was it like growing up?
Well, I was born in Barnes, of all places, Barnes. Not many Jewish families lived in Barnes, but anyhow, my father bought a house there, and I was born there.
And what year was that?
1926.
1926.
And then after that, I made some notes here, yeah. Now, I left school when I was 14.
Did you enjoy school? Were there particular subjects you liked? Or
yes, I was quite happy in the school. It wasn't a county school or anything like that, and the local school. But I got on quite well there. But then again, the war started, and then that interrupted our education there, and we got evacuated. I got evacuated to Reading. I was only about 12 or 13, or less than that, yeah. And I stayed in Reading for about 2 years with a family there, billeted with a family there. And then I came back. I got came back to England, to London, and I had to find work. Well, my father had a little engineering workshop, so he dragged me from school when I was 14, because you were allowed to start work. You leave school at 14 in those days, yeah? And so I worked there for a couple of years, and I didn't realise that I was learning a trade, because he was in metalwork. And I could see how it helped me later on.
And at school, just reading your notes there, you were part of the Army Cadet Force, so your military career started quite early.
That's right. I did join the Army Cadet Force before, in Richmond it was there, yeah, and I was a good shot. I used to have these .22 rifles, and I think I saw an advert about snipers and how they were shooting Germans, and that must have made me start thinking, well, I'd like to go and join the army. So when I moved to, I had a job in Neasden, and that was an aircraft factory, and I was working on the wings of they called it the Seafire. It was like the Spitfire, but it was on the carriers. And every day I cycled there I was cycling there. I used to pass this army territorial place, yeah. So must have been there about 2 years, and I was about 17 and a half, and the recruiting age was 18. So I put my age up, and they didn't ask any questions because they were desperate for manpower that day. They lost a lot of people in the D-Day, Dunkirk and everything, and they just, didn't ask me, well, you've got to get your mother's or father's permission to join the army. They grabbed hold of you quickly, you got sworn in, and the next thing I got my papers report to Canterbury, and did my square bashing there.
And which regiment was that with?
Well, I was the East Surrey Regiment, yeah. And then because I showed I gave you a test. When you go for I volunteered, that was the thing, I volunteered, and they gave you a test, and I was very good in that test. I could do things which they asked. I was well ahead of other people, because there's a lot of people volunteering there. So anyhow, they sent me on a infantry signaller's course, to Yorkshire to do with carrier. And there I only learnt about the Morse code, radios, things like that. So when I came back there, to think what I did then. Yes, that's right. Then the East Surrey Regiment, East Surrey Battalion, were responsible for the marshalling camps prior to D-Day. We were on the staff, and thousands of men there, all Canadians, a lot of English all over the country, all waiting to go over to D-Day. And we ran the camp there, and of course when D-Day started, or just before it said, the camps were empty. And it made us superfluous. They didn't need us anymore. So they disbanded the Surrey Regiment there and sent us out as reinforcements, because that was about 2 or 3 months after D-Day, yeah.
So was that reinforcing within Britain itself, or were you deployed overseas?
After the D-Day, they lost a lot of people, and we joined this battalion, the Hallamshire Battalion. It was Sheffield's own battalion, as a reinforcement. And some of the soldiers there, they were really shattered because they went through mortar fire, everything they were. And
so you were still only just 18.
I was just approaching 18.
Just approaching, so not even 18 yet.
Yeah.
And you find yourself landing first in France, in Normandy, as the battle's still raging, or when?
Yeah, whilst I was in this marshalling camp there, I had a nice comfortable room, bed and everything. And the very next couple of days, got transferred to, where was it? I don't know, New Haven or what, over to France. And my first night was in a ditch, in the line there.
And so the Battle of Normandy is still very much underway.
Yeah.
Do you remember much about the fighting, about the liberation itself, and what you went through?
We were in the 49th West Riding Division, and it was attached to the 1st Canadian Army. And we landed in Normandy, in Taunton, Normandy, second, went through to, Caen hadn't been taken then, and so there was still a lot more fighting to go. Anyhow, we were in the line. Eventually we gradually started, I think some other battalions came through us and started attacking, and we followed them. And then we went to France. I was one of the first British troops in a lot of the French towns and villages there.
And what was the reaction? What was it like with the locals? And...
Oh my God! I wish I had it filmed. So there's one town there particularly, Lillybonne in France. They must have me on film. We were on the back of a FF, they were called a Free French van. They took us for. They were, I don't know how. Yeah, we met the FFI, the Free French. They took us across the Seine, and then in the back of the van, about 5 or 6 of us there, and went through all these villages, and suddenly got to this town called Lillybonne, and that's when we got welcomed. We were the first British troops in there.
And along the way, I understand there were a few close shaves in terms of your meeting with the enemies.
I was an infantry signal, but I was still in an infantry company, battalion, yeah? So I was in the line there. I wasn't very good, but it did help me at one time. The platoon I was in, I suddenly got transferred to HQ because of I don't know why. But that platoon went into an attack, and most of them got destroyed. Mortar fire. They were crossing a field, and all the people I knew got killed there. But unfortunately, I wasn't there because But that was one of the things which happened to me.
The shell landed, didn't it, next to you?
I should say we're joined by Solly's daughter Sharon as well, so thank you very much for having us too.
there was another time in France. I think it was in France. We were advancing, and we had tanks cover there. Tanks, Churchill. Didn't last very long. There were 6 Churchill tanks. They got knocked out by these German guns, which were more hidden, and so the tanks were crossing the field. The Germans shot them up. 6 Churchill tanks, which was our best tank, and we were in infantry there. And then there was still noise of tanks in that area there, and so I think someone must have signalled back to the HQ, and they sent an anti-tank, anti-tank gun, 6-pounder, which was fought the tanks there. And this German tank came along, and it crossed. It was all in the little tracks here, and it had a long barrel on its gun, you see, and the wooden trees there. And I could see it couldn't swivel round and use its gun, but this anti-tank, 6-pounders they were, and they just shot point-blank range, and they shot it up. Yeah, and I saw the members seeing the Germans jumping out, all one or two on fire, but they were still shelling us there where we were dug up in the field, and it was there where one shell came down very close to us, and it didn't go off.
Wow.
I heard the whiz, you could hear it, but I was in a ditch, dug up, and so I suppose that was very lucky.
And while you were in the army, was there much chance of a Jewish life? Did you see chaplains? Did you see other Jewish men and women?
I was the only Jewish soldier in our company. But when, I think it was Pesach, they arranged that I would go from the line to a part in France it was into Holland to celebrate Passover.
Where was that? In Holland, did you say?
Yeah. And some of the folks, they were not, they knew about Jewish laws, and they said they gave me a bacon sandwich on yeah.
Well, I suppose it's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
There you go. So after France, did you sweep with the British Liberation Army through Belgium, Netherlands, and into Germany?
Yeah, and into Belgium. I think most of the time was in Holland. Holland was, we were holding the line in Holland. This was after Arnhem, and it was very cold, and we used to do these standing patrol. That was in front of your line and listen for any activity. And all that we could hear, I could hear there, was, because it was during the winter, the ice cracking, which made you think someone's advancing. Sometimes you're looking, you even think you see trees moving, But that was very scary. I didn't like that at all. And then from Holland, yes, we went into Germany.
And the liberation through Germany, again, obviously a very different experience to liberating the countries that had been occupied. What was your experience there with the other armies, with the locals? Did you get to come across any of the camps at all?
Well, funnily enough, really, if I was in the 2nd British Army, I was attached to the 1st Canadian Army. The 2nd British Army came to Belsen, didn't they? Yeah, and but they had some tough fighting, so maybe that was good. And I would have done if I'd taken the British Army. I would have gone to Belsen, I suppose. I didn't know Yiddish or anything like that. I don't know what I would have said. Anyhow.
And where
I saw evidence of where people had buried mass people, mass graves and things like that. But nothing like what happened in Belsen.
No. Where were you on VE Day when victory was finally declared?
Well, VE Day, we came back to England to train to go to the Far East, and we were to join a mule battalion. Because everything was moved by mules.
Absolutely, the Chindits through Burma and a very big part of the operations.
They dropped the atom bomb, and that was all cancelled out. And so they sent us to Italy, sent us to just near Venice was very good. And I was, and I had my fact. I wasn't very high ranking, but one thing I wanted to be, I was in a signalling corps, I wanted to be a dispatch rider. And then I heard they're looking for dispatch riders. Well, I used to tinker around with motorbikes when I was young, and so I volunteered and I got the job as dispatch rider. I had a Norton 500, so a powerful bike. Used to go from this company that come in delivering messages and everything like that. And I was quite happy with that. Because, funny enough, they used to give us 50 cigarettes a week in a tin there.
Wow, a big ration in those days.
Yeah. And because a lot of people didn't just smoke. So because I had this motorbike and pannier bags on the side, I used to buy the cigarettes of some of the people in my little platoon, take them out into Venice, and I had a bloke there who used to buy them. But they were ridiculous, giving us 50 cigarettes, eh? I don't know what they were.
Did you even smoke yourself? Or
I never really smoked.
No.
I never inhaled. I used to have a puff here and there, but I never inhaled.
Yeah.
No.
And how long were you in Italy for?
Oh, I was there for about, until I got that Class B release. And I didn't want a Class B release because instead of sending you to leave, in England for 7-day leave or something, they sent you to Cortina winter sports. And that was lovely, that would have been.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come on to that because there were winter sports were to be a part of your life a little bit later on, if I remember.
Right, yeah.
And we'll talk about that. So absolutely. So you got your, as we say, you got your Class
B release.
Class B release.
It's a work of national importance.
Absolutely. No, I'm glad to say that they, in the final assessment of conduct and character, you were described as very good, and that your testimonial read an excellent type of man who is very willing, honest, and trustworthy. He can be relied on to work well.
I reckon that was standard.
Without supervision, signed off by your CO, and again that was actually from the final report from 1952. Your dismissal from the reserve as well.
As you can see at the top, there says date of birth, and then 1925 something.
Oh yeah, so they got So you must have lied to get in there as well.
I had from the age of 6 months.
There you go.
I wasn't 16 and a half, 17 and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. So what was it like coming home back to your family and understanding that you now had to build a life and a career in your own family?
My father had this little engineering workshop, so when I came back, I worked with him for some time there, and I was learning a trade, really, and the metal. I finished up calling myself a sheet metal worker, and which helped me a great deal, because when I went to Israel, I went to a kibbutz. I didn't like it there, and we left and went to Haifa, and I had to find a job. What are you doing? I said, I was doing metal work. Well, anyone from England who's done in engineering and things was very valuable. So I got a job.
Yeah. And what sort of year was this that you made Aliyah?
When I went down 50.
50? When Amy was born, 52.
Yeah, 1950.
52, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, you're in Haifa and they were interested in your engineering skills.
Yeah, so I had a job with the Israeli army at an oil ordnance factory, and they used to make things like, at that time, what was the thing? There was a bazooka, the bazooka, yeah, I had made it. There was the NAPLAN, but they had NAPLAN, and so Israel picks it all up, and they want to experiment it, they wanted it, and things like that. And so I was doing all the metal work there. And that helped me again. So that all that engineering experience, which I thought was absolutely a waste of time, proved otherwise. I was classed as a sheet metal worker. And when I came back to England after that, the factory was only about 2 or 3 people. And I worked in a factory, expanded, and we had a factory here, a factory there. And I was always involved in metalwork.
And eventually you were able to you started your own family. When and where did you meet your wife?
Well, my wife was a Holocaust survivor. And before I went to Israel, there was a place where you went to do training to toughen up, to work on the farms, so you become more useful when you get to Israel. And she lost her mother and father and family, but she had a brother in Israel she wanted to meet. Anyhow, we got married in Buckingham, not the palace now. And
what was her name?
Martha.
Martha.
Yeah. What was her name?
What? Bertha?
Yeah, of course it was, yeah. Anyhow, yeah, so we lived here all that time. Yeah, well, we lived in Neasden first, then we moved to Wembley. Well, no, from Neasden, my wife wanted to live in a more Jewish area. Well, Neasden was quite...
Yeah, my family were in Neasden originally, so yeah.
Oh, yeah. What road?
I can't remember the road, but my grandpa, he was a barber on Willesden Lane, Monty's barber on Willesden Lane.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. But they did a similar journey. They went from Neasden to Wembley, and then eventually to Stanmore, moving up the Jubilee line.
Well,
so
most of the friends which we had went to Stanmore, and because we had two daughters living in the suburb, they brought us here, which is the best thing that's happened. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what's the current count on children and great grandchildren?
Well, I've got two daughters and one son. My son lives in Australia.
Oh, right.
And how many? I've got.
He's got 3 children.
Huh?
He's got 3 children.
Yeah, 3 children.
Name's got 3 and I've got 2.
8 children. And now I've got 6 great grandsons.
Amazing.
And I'm waiting for a great granddaughter.
Of course, yeah, during November, which would be wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But that's another son.
That's another son. There we go. And so you were running the factories until you retired?
Yeah,
And then what did retirement hold? I understand that there was that return eventually to a little bit of winter sport for you.
Well, yeah, that was. I think I still went on winter sport while I was still working in a factory. How old was I? About 60?
Bit young, about 55 you started skiing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very good. Best holiday, isn't it?
Yeah, I've not been for many years, but I do. I say on the few occasions I've been, I've enjoyed it very much. Not been very good at it, but enjoyed it very much. So, and where you live now, what's the sort of community life? What's your current life in terms of retirement and hobbies and things?
Well, I'm a regular shul goer in Norwich Lee. They know me there. I had my big celebration when I was 100. They called me up. We were dancing on the bima, and it was a pity you couldn't film it because you couldn't do anything in there. I'm quite well known, I think, in this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There you go. And did you find yourself involved with Ajax at any point particularly?
Ajax. I joined Ajax when I was in Wembley. There was quite a big crowd there. I know some of them. One guy's still alive today. What's his name? He's in a home not far from here. Shoreditch bloke. You know him? Do you know?
Still involved with us. Well, there's Joe Sliper.
That's
Yeah. So Joe's you say just up the road on the Bishop's Avenue. He's 106 now. There you go. But but still going very strong. We're his 106th birthday. Actually, must be nearly 107. Actually, I think it was almost a year ago. So I think he's our oldest veteran now.
I don't want to be as old as that. And he's still quite active. I keep saying I must go and see him.
Absolutely. Well, I can put you in touch with his grandson if you'd like, and we'll get you along there. Because I say it's only up the road.
I don't know if you recognise me, but we used to have these meetings. He was a short guy. He wasn't very tall.
Yeah.
And there was other people there. It was quite strong, that Wembley. Wembley on its own. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I used to march with the Wembley crowd,
At the national parade.
I used to go marching there,
Well, look forward to seeing you again this year. I hope on the national parade. I'm just very aware that you've made some great notes there as well. Is there anything we've missed at all that while we have the opportunity, you'd like to get down for the record? Well. So thank you so much for your time and your memories today. It's always difficult to know how to say thank you to somebody who's lived so long and has got so much, but we do have a small token of our appreciation, which is the Ajax plaque, which I hope will go up on the wall with many of the wonderful photos and works of art that you have in your wonderful home. Again, thank you so much. It's been an absolute put it on there, exactly. Put it over the medals, under the medals, and wear it alongside.
If I can get medals which are there's this side.
Yeah, let's have a look at your medals while we're here still.
This side.
Yeah.
But they're smaller. It's a bit smaller, and I've got the very small ones because I think I rang up Ajax and they sent me little very.
Okay.
But everybody seems to have.
The larger ones, well, especially again,
everyone is a little bit smaller on this side.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think the trick with these ones is to get them properly mounted so that the ribbons are properly drawn down as well. And if I can absolutely very, very happy to sort that out for you if you'd like, and then you'd be able to wear them properly again alongside alongside other emblems and badges when you march with us again. So we'll just there we go. So the France and Germany star, the 39 to 45 star, and the War Medal 1939 to 45. A very common set for those who served in the British Liberation Army in the defeat of Nazism and fascism, for which we owe you everything. So thank you once again.